Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you know whenever I'm posting new videos. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about when I knew I was gay. So from a very young age, I kind of was attracted to guys. When you're little, you're not really attracted to them on a sexual level, you're just more attracted to them in like a fascination level of the fact that they are a guy and you're attracted to them in some way. It's not really the fact that you're like sexually attracted to them, you just find them attractive. And for me, I definitely say it was in elementary school that I realized that I was more attracted to guys than I was girls. I had a lot of female friends, but when it came to guys, I was just extremely shy about talking to them just because I didn't want to mess things up. But I will say there were several different times when I was little where I was just like, oh, I wish this person would hang out with me just because I think he's so nice and attractive and I just want him to be my friend. And I had the hardest time making guy friends. I would say my fascination with guys probably started somewhere around second or third grade in elementary school, just because there was lots of guys in my grade that I was just like, oh, I wish that they would talk to me. I wish we could hang out outside of school. But for me, there wasn't very many people that lived close enough to where we could hang out, and I got invited to several different things where different guys were, and I just didn't really fit in. They were playing with like guns and I didn't really like guns. They were playing with like G.I. Joes and I personally didn't like playing with those. I actually grew up playing with dolls because my sisters lived with me and that's kind of what they had. So that's kind of what I ended up with as well. And yeah, so that made it a little bit harder for me to relate to guys at a younger age just because the things that they were interested in, I really wasn't interested in. It probably started in middle school where I was becoming a little bit more attracted to guys on a more sexual level, not playing with guys. I've heard stories where people have done stuff and messed around with guys at a younger age. I didn't actually do that until I got into college, but we did have gym class where I was just kind of like, ooh, the guys' bodies are starting to like fill out. They're starting to get muscles. Granted, I was still very much a stick at that point, but I was starting to realize that the guys in my gym class were starting to get like muscles and a little bit of body hair, and I just found that really attractive. So for me, it was definitely a very young age where I started to like guys, but it wasn't until college where I started to experiment with different guys. And by that time, things just started to go like really fast. I was dating someone from high school, and by the time I got to college, we ended up ending things just because I was hanging out with a lot of females and she got jealous. And I was just like, this isn't going to work out if you can't trust me. Honestly, the reason why I hung out with a lot of girls was because I couldn't relate to the guys and I wasn't as scared of girls as I was of guys. So when I was in high school, I was actually in show choir and theater, and because we were such a small school, a lot of the guys from different sports teams were actually in our show choir and theater because we were just such a small school. If those guys didn't volunteer, we wouldn't really have a lot of guys in theater or in show choir. A lot of times it was the girls from show choir or theater that kind of drug their boyfriends into show choir, but I was very thankful for that because when we traveled and stuff and had to get changed really quickly, I kind of got to like glance over at the different guys that I was with. I actually did a video last year on my channel about all my high school crushes. So if you haven't yet, go check that video out. It's really embarrassing for me just because I was very open and talked about all the different guys that I had crushes on. So when it came to accepting myself for being gay, that didn't come very quickly. That was something that ended up taking a really long time for me to learn how to accept myself. So at the beginning, I knew that I was kind of attracted to guys. I knew that I found guys very sexually attractive, but I was still very scared to ever show that just because growing up in a very rural area, in a very country area, there was a lot of people who said things like, oh, that's so gay. Oh, that guy's a faggot. And I knew that that was something that I didn't want to be, so I was scared to death to ever really kind of open up about that type of thing. I did go on a few dates back in high school once I got a driver's license just because there was people that I talked to on MySpace and I was interested in getting to know them, but I never did anything sexual until I got into college. And it was very interesting because talking to other gay people now, there's a lot of people who experimented a lot more than I ever did. So I wish that I was in a situation where I kind of got to experiment a little bit more when I was younger, just because I feel like I would have been able to mature a lot faster. One of my biggest regrets is the fact that it took me so long to come out of the closet. I'd seen so many other people come out and enjoy themselves, and I was just like, man, that would have been nice to be able to be that confident in myself in high school. Because I waited until college, I pretty much robbed myself of any happiness in high school because I was constantly always trying to hide who I was. So when it came to my friendships in high school, a lot of them lacked depth just because I was too scared to open up to anybody. And I just did a video about being authentic, and I was just like, I was not living an authentic life in high school because I was just so afraid that someone was gonna find out that I was gay. Something I had talked about in my video that I did with my friend Ezra, if you guys wanna go check that video, I know it's long, but we talked about a lot of really cool things. But one of the things that we talked about was the fact that when it comes to a gay kid's journey in maturing and finding acceptance for himself, we all kind of start that journey alone, just because when it comes to being gay, we don't really have role models. We really don't have parents that we can like watch and like start to live life similar to. So we really have to kind of become ourselves on our own. And for me, growing up in the 90s, there wasn't a lot of access to like things like YouTube and different social medias where you could kind of follow people who have already come out. So for me, my journey started off very lonely. It was something that I never told anybody, and I didn't feel comfortable enough sharing it with anyone. My parents sent me to counseling just because they were worried about me. But when it came to the counselor I went to, she was more worried about like fixing me than like helping me learn how to accept myself for being gay. I told her I had had those thoughts, and she kind of talked to me as if those were things that I needed to like suppress and get rid of instead of learning how to accept. So when it comes to coming out as a gay person, I'm so thankful for all the progress that we've made and the fact that there's so many different outlets now for people to reach out to role models and stuff and talk to them about the coming out process. But for me, I didn't really have that. And so when it came to coming out, it was a really long, drawn out process, and it was extremely scary because I didn't know if I was going to be accepted. I didn't know if there was other people in my town that were like me. There was one person in my show choir that was kind of out, but he still talks about girls as if those were possibilities for someone that he might end up dating sometime. Granted, now that he is older, he's definitely gay, does not date girls. I think he's actually talking to a guy that he's been talking to for a very long time, so very happy for him. Hopefully I'll end up finding someone like that one day as well. Got my fingers crossed for that, but who knows. But that's all I have to share for this video. If you guys have any stories that you'd like to share with me, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, make sure you go check out my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. I usually post on those pretty regularly, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.